Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and my law firm assists professionals with employment contract and independent contractor issues. Today, I'm going to talk about is it worth it to take a 6-month contract position, or is it better to wait for a full-time position? So let's talk about the employment status first, and then kind of what needs to be in the independent contractor agreement in order to make that decision. So really there's two types of employment relationships. You're either an employee or an independent contractor. So with this question, we're talking about people who are doing contract work as independent contractors. And that could be a variety of things. It could be for a specific task. It could be for a company who needs a little short-term help with something. But you are not an employee, meaning you won't receive a W-2 at the end of the year. Taxes aren't taken out of your compensation. You most likely won't be getting any kind of benefits. Now, it's possible you could be a short-term employee, but for this specific question, I'm just going to kind of look at it from the perspective of being an independent contractor. So before you start any kind of job or contract position, it's very likely you will have to have signed an independent contractor agreement. And in that agreement, it's going to state how the contract can be terminated. So when you're trying to decide, is it better to take the short-term assignment or wait for a permanent assignment, you need to see what your termination options are after you start the job. So for instance, almost any kind of contract is going to have some way of terminating the agreement with a certain amount of notice to the other party. Now, when it's a short-term 6-month assignment, for instance, and it has maybe a 60 or 90-day without cause notice, well, that needs to be taken into account. So even if you were to start, if you give 90 days notice, you still have to work there for 3 months, and then depending upon, whether you got a full-time offer or not from somewhere else. But that's what should go into whether to take the short-term position or not. Are you stuck for those 6 months, meaning you cannot get out of the agreement, without some kind of for-cause, reason, meaning they have violated or breached the agreement in some way, and then you can terminate the contract immediately. And there will be language in there about that as well. But if you start the position and it states it cannot be terminated except for cause reasons, well, then you're stuck in that position for 6 months no matter what. And if a full-time position came available during that time, you're kind of stuck. So that's the first thing you need to think about. Am I in it for 6 months no matter what, or do I have some options to get out of it? Because if you can get out of it with a certain amount of notice, then there's really no harm in taking that job. No job is going to say, if you can't start within the next 10 days, it's gone. It's very unlikely, at least for a permanent position. If you are the right person for a job, a company will absolutely be willing to wait 30 days, most likely, for you to get out of your contract. Now, if you said I have to wait 90 days, well, they might move on. So if you can negotiate the without cause termination notice down, then you absolutely need to do that. Now, another consideration is sometimes there'll be a penalty associated with terminating the contract early. So for instance, if you were given a signing bonus, relocation expenses, most of these are probably remote, so that's not going to be a part of it. Maybe if they paid for some licensing, dues and fees, certifications, whatever, you may have to pay some of those back. So that's another consideration. What are my repayment requirements if I do terminate the contract early, if I get a permanent position offer while I've started this contract position? So in summary, should you take a 6-month contract versus waiting for a full-time job? It really depends upon how quickly you can get out of the contract after you've signed, and then what you're going to have to pay back to the employer or organization that you're working for as an independent contractor. Well, hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about your employment agreement or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number listed below in the description. Or you can reach us through our website, chellelaw.com. Appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.